reportedly trying to keep its troops and military equipment in the
I would have thought that the series of benign videos and photos that have been posted by Prime Minister
High-level delegation from the Maldives has arrived in New Delhi to discuss the presence of Indian military in the island nation.
Chinese President Xi Jinping called on the armed forces to be prepared for conflicts. He has urged them to raise a stronger sense of mission, deepen reform and promote innovation to strengthen strategic capability.
Today, we explore the strategic tug-of-war between India and China in the Maldives, analyzing the multifaceted impacts on the island nation's economy, tourism, and sovereignty. Stay tuned as we uncover the intricate layers of this geopolitical chess match unfolding in the Indian Ocean. India has stationed around 75 troops and 2 helicopters in the Maldives. You might wonder why this deployment is significant. Well, here is the reason. The Maldives holds a prime strategic location in the north-central Indian Ocean, just off the coast of southern India. In this places India in a position where it feels necessary to assert its influence over this strategically important region. However, India is not alone in this ambition. China shares similar interests. Consequently, both countries are vying for their objectives in the Maldives. Currently, it seems like China is gaining the upper hand, as evidenced by the recent directive from the new Maldivian president. Following his state visit to Beijing, the president has ordered India to withdraw its troops by mid-March. That raised several questions. How did the situation escalate to this point? What are the objectives driving India and China in the Maldives? Finally, is the Maldives merely a powerless pawn in a big geopolitical game, or does it hold the leverage to influence 2 global powers to fulfill its objectives? In 2010, President Mohammed Nasheed of the Maldives initiated a bidding process for constructing a new airport. The DMR Group, a semi-private, semi-public construction conglomerate based in India, won the bid. They set to provide $78 million in funding to the Maldives for the expansion and modernization of the airport by 2014. However, before the airport was complete, President Nasheed was compelled to resign from office under peculiar circumstances. If one were to delve into this segment of Maldivian history via a Google search, the official explanation revolves around Nasheed's decision to arrest a chief judge whom he believed to be corrupt. This action triggered protests from the military and opposing political parties, who accused Nasheed of undermining judicial independence. These protests eventually escalated into a mutiny carried out by the police and military, leading Nasheed to resign in a dramatic turn of events that the new authorities portrayed as a restoration of order and respect for the rule of law. However, President Nasheed and his supporters maintained that the events were a pre-planned coup orchestrated by his political adversaries, the judiciary, and possibly even foreign powers. Critics of the official narrative argue that the arrest of the chief judge served as a pretext to oust Nasheed from power. They point out the absence of due process for Nasheed, who was neither formally impeached nor removed through established legal channels. Several nations, including the United States and India, voiced concerns about the events and called for an investigation. On the other hand, some countries, like China, accepted the official explanation without question. It is worth noting that China had its agenda to attend to at the time. Just months before China was set to announce its ambitious Belt and Road Initiative, a significant development unfolded in the Maldives involving the new president and the airport project mentioned earlier. In late 2012, under President Mohammed Waheed, the Maldives declared the agreement with India's GMR to build the airport null and void. Workers associated with GMR were given just 7 days to vacate the premises, sparking protests from government opposition and drawing criticism from India. GMR subsequently handed over the airport to the Maldives, which then awarded a new construction project to Maciel, a state-owned enterprise in the Maldives. During Xi Jinping's state visit to the Maldives on September 16, 2014, the Chinese government and the Maldivian government signed a preliminary contract agreement for the expansion and upgrades of the airport. Then, on December 28, 2015, China's Exim Bank and the Maldivian government signed a preferential buyer's credit agreement, effectively a complex loan for the airport's upgrades and expansion. This loan, valued at approximately $374 million, came into effect on August 18, 2016, with the following borrowing terms: a 20-year maturity, a 5-year grace period, and a 3% interest rate. The loan's principal was to be repaid by the Maldives in 30 equal semi-annual installments on January 21st and July 21st of each year, with the first repayment scheduled for 2021. The Maldives was expected to repay China with revenues from an airport development fee charged to airlines and passengers using the airport. In 2018, China's Exim Bank disbursed $211 million. They also provided an additional $6 million in 2020 and another $38 million in 2021. As of 2024, the Maldives has yet to make any repayments to China, and their debt is nearing $400 million. However, the Maldivian leaders have been aware of the implications of these debt traps for some time. Following the defeat of President Abdullah Yameen in September 2018, Ibrahim Solih, the new president, raised concerns about the level of Chinese debt incurred by his predecessor. Solih aimed to realign the Maldives with India, the United States, and other Western powers and undo much of the work Yameen had done to strengthen relations with China. However, even under a leadership not inclined towards China, the Maldives accepted financing for a $130 million bridge project offered by China. This bridge, humorously dubbed the China-Maldives Friendship Bridge, is the latest debt trap project on the Maldives' books. The danger of these debt traps lies in the uncertainty of future obligations and concessions. For instance, as far back as 2015, China had enough leverage to persuade the Maldives to amend its constitution to allow foreigners to own land on the islands. This led to the acquisition of strategically important tiny islands around the Maldives by a Chinese firm for $4 million. While such investments may offer economic benefits, they also raise concerns about debt entrapment and the loss of strategic autonomy. India's primary concern revolves around China's strategy to use the Maldives as a crucial component in its broader objective of dominating the Indian Ocean. Over the past decade, the Maldives' external debt-to-GDP ratio has surged, indicating an increased vulnerability to debt traps. Presently, the China Development Bank, the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, and the Export-Import Bank of China collectively hold over 60% of the Maldives' sovereign debt. This context played a significant role in the Maldives' recent presidential election, where the central decision revolved around choosing which global superpower to align with. The incumbent president, Ibrahim Solih, favored aligning with India, while the opposing candidate, Mohamed Muizzu, campaigned to reduce Indian influence and align the Maldives with China. Despite a narrow 54% majority, Muizzu emerged victorious, leading us to the present situation. Muizzu emerged victorious in last year's election after running on a platform advocating for reduced Indian influence in the Maldives. Historically, India and the Maldives enjoyed close ties, with India offering substantial economic aid and security assistance over many years. However, concerns about Indian dominance in the region have sparked frustration among a growing faction of Maldivians. They believe that the interests of the Maldives are often overlooked amidst the geopolitical maneuvering among global powers. Some perceive India's stance towards the Maldives as more opportunistic than that of a genuine ally. The Maldivians' primary desire is to improve their country's situation, which is understandable. However, the Maldives finds itself caught amid larger territorial tensions between China and India. While India and the Maldives are not adversaries, they also are not formal allies. Their relationship is strained and subject to fluctuations in negotiation and uncertainty. This uncertainty has become even more challenging to navigate since China's involvement in the Maldives intensified after its official participation in the Belt and Road Initiative in 2014. Chinese firms have since poured nearly $1.4 billion into investments in the Maldives. The Maldives' strategic location in the Indian Ocean holds significant importance for both India and China. China's Belt and Road Initiative aims to rejuvenate maritime trade routes, capitalizing on the Maldives' prime positioning. For India, the Maldives plays a crucial role in maritime trade and security. Any loss of influence here could profoundly impact India's economic and strategic interests in the region. Once again, it appears that the Maldives' interests are the least prioritized in this scenario. Being at the center of tension poses risks for the country, deterring foreign investment and forcing it to navigate a delicate balance between economic gains and political independence. The rivalry between India and China could lead to increased military spending, diverting funds from development to defense, and potentially hindering the formation of regional and global trade blocs. Moreover, the Maldives' location is particularly intriguing concerning India's geo-economic interests. The region's seabed is abundant in valuable minerals crucial for manufacturing green technologies. India's access to these resources could reduce its dependence on China, one of its largest mineral suppliers. Currently, India has been granted rights to explore a 75,000 square kilometer area in the central Indian Ocean basin for advancing deep-sea mining initiatives. India aims to achieve self-reliance in minerals like nickel and cobalt by maintaining control over this oceanic region. In contrast, China is investing in deep technology, particularly autonomous submersible vehicles. Although China's permissions for such missions cover less ocean terrain compared to India, this dynamic could change, especially considering President Muizu's pivot towards China. These developments could potentially have adverse effects on the Maldives' most crucial industry, tourism. India's response to President Muizu's directive for India to remove its military presence from the island has been noteworthy. On January 4th, India's Prime Minister posted pictures of himself meeting residents, strolling on beaches, and snorkeling on India's Lakshadweep Islands. In the post, the Indian leader described Lakshadweep as mesmerizing and encouraged adventure seekers to visit. This intervention by Modi was seen by some in the tourism-dependent Maldives as an attempt to divert tourists away from their country, as India is the largest source of tourism for the Maldives. In direct response to Modi's post, 3 Maldivian deputy ministers made derogatory comments about Modi and India's tourism potential, including calling Modi a clown and describing him as a puppet of Israel. These officials have since been suspended for their remarks. Online supporters of the Indian Prime Minister called for a boycott of Maldivian tourism. As a result, Easy Trip, an online booking platform, announced the suspension of all bookings to the Maldives under the slogan, "Nation First, Business Later." Despite this pressure, Muizu responded without mentioning India by name, stating that no country had the right to bully the Maldives. However, the economic repercussions of this struggle extend far beyond tourism revenue. Over 30,000 Indians are employed in the Maldives, primarily in the construction, retail, and healthcare sectors. This underscores the significance of India's historical and strategic ties with the Maldives for the country's economic interests. While China's investments under the Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, present economic opportunities for the Maldives, they also raise concerns regarding debt sustainability and autonomy. Therefore, it remains unclear what actions the Maldives can or should take as it finds itself caught between these two Asian giants. In conclusion, the Maldives finds itself at the center of a geopolitical tug-of-war between India and China, with significant implications for its economy, sovereignty, and future development. As the rivalry intensifies, the Maldives must navigate carefully to protect its interests amidst competing global powers. Thank you for joining us on this insightful exploration of this chess war between India